What is up, everybody? Your boy Turned to Ash is back. Happy Monday, and I'm coming to you guys with another My Hero Academia review. This week, we're going over chapter 275, Encounter Part 2. And what a chapter this was this week. A lot of information here, got a good amount of action, and a lot of encounters between characters. So I'm excited to see how this raid arc is going to end. It seems like we're coming to a head here at the end of this chapter. So a lot of things going on, and I'm excited to jump in. So this chapter starts off with Shigaraki's continued pursuit of Deku and Bakugo. Deku and Bakugo, last chapter, are trying to lure Shigaraki away from all the civilians and all the heroes, trying to get everybody out of the city and get away from the debris and the decay that's going on. So he's trying to distract him because we know Shigaraki's goal, his urge, is to get one for all. So we're excited for that. All for one. One for all. There we go. I'm going to get him confused. I just say it too fast. So one for all is his goal to get, and he has to just drive to get there. And he goes on a quick explanation, Shigaraki does, of the search quirk that was stolen from Ragdoll, and that it can find anyone, reveals the location and weaknesses of any user, anyone the user has laid eyes on. So that is a huge broken quirk, and I'm pretty sure we learned about that when it was stolen from Ragdoll, but it's good to get a refresher on what Ragdoll's power was, and no wonder that All For One wanted the power so badly. That is an insanely useful quirk to have, and obviously Shigaraki's using it to its full advantage right now, searching out Deku, seeing the lights, and he says, must be fate, that he has this quirk and that Deku is right there with him, within range, so he can get All For One, one for all, excuse me. So that was an exciting way to start the chapter off. So he's in pursuit, and we jump later into Deku and Bakugo, and they're kind of explaining to Endeavor, I'll explain to you later what's going on, but we're going to try to lure Shigaraki away from the evacuation. So Endeavor doesn't know that Deku has All For One yet, or One For All yet, but I think by the end of this arc he may find out, and we'll see what that dynamic is and see how Endeavor reacts to Deku being the inheritor of All Might's will. So that's exciting to see, but we get an interchange between Deku and Bakugo, which was really interesting. It really brought me back to my Naruto days when we got to see encounters between Naruto and Sasuke. And as they're escaping, Deku's kind of firming himself up that he's going to be the one to kind of lure Shigaraki away, kind of save everybody, be the hero, and not get anyone else in danger. Well, Bakugo explains to him that first of all, he's shocked that Bakugo's following him. He's like, Kachan, why are you still following me? And Bakugo, of course, tells him to shut up, and that he's not going to listen to Deku's orders, and he's going to follow him, and wisely says that Bakugo is the only one there that knows the situation with Deku and doesn't need a huge explanation of what's going on and why Shigaraki would be following Deku. So it makes sense that Bakugo is there following him and there to support him, but we kind of get another reason of why Bakugo is there. And we find out that Bakugo is still holding on to that grudge against the villains, League of Villains, for what happened to All Might last summer when they encountered One For All, and the fear, or the doubt and the fear that Bakugo felt, and he thinks he was the one that ended All Might's career, that made him retire, that caused him all the injuries. So Bakugo is still holding onto all that fear and the anger at the League of Villains and at Shigaraki for what happened and his own weaknesses, that he wasn't able to do more to help All Might out and not put All Might in that situation. So that was an interesting conversation between Deku and Bakugo, and his little inner monologue between Bakugo. And we see a lot of progression between Bakugo, kind of like how we saw Naruto and Sasuke. When Naruto started to develop his powers and he started to grow, Sasuke felt like he was falling behind, and this is where Bakugo is now. He sees Deku growing, he sees Deku's powers and his abilities kind of coming out, and his confidence is growing, and Bakugo feels like he's falling behind and he's trying very hard to catch up. So I'm liking that dynamic between Bakugo and Deku and seeing how their relationship grows, whether it splinters off or they become closer and stronger because of Bakugo and Deku's secret together. It may help them out. Unlike in Naruto and Sasuke, where Sasuke was so divided because he had a different goal altogether that didn't have anything to do with the leaf. So very interesting to see where it goes. So Bakugo's not having any of Deku's shit. He's going to follow because he has a goal. He wants to be the one to take down Shigaraki. And the scene we see of him looking so excited says, and I'm looking at the page here, One for all is just the bait, because I'm the one who will get payback for that day. It's the perfect chance to rack up a win. That is an interesting conversation, because we know Bakugo is no fool. He's actually extremely smart and a very, very good fighter. So I don't think he would put himself in a bad situation just to get revenge on Shigaraki. But if he has all this pent-up rage and anger and wants revenge, and he's blinded by his own slow pace of progression compared to Deku, he may jump into a situation that may get him in trouble later on to this arc. But luckily, it looks like they avoided that, because as they're running away, Shigaraki kind of disables Endeavor a little bit here by throwing a wind radio wave, which is really cool. So we're starting to see Shigaraki use combination of quirks that he has. Endeavor is on his tail, and the communication is bugging Shigaraki, knowing that they can communicate. So he uses an air wave that he used earlier, and he combines it with a radio wave. So an air blast radio wave that kind of knocks out the communications. And you hear Burnin say, the communications are going haywire right now. So he's knocked out the communications, so they can't really talk. But they were able to convey where Shigaraki turned to, and that he's headed southwest towards Deku and Bakugo. So at least they were able to relay that information before Shigaraki knocked out the communications, but it looks like there's no communication left for the heroes. So we'll see how that encounter goes with the heroes and Shigaraki coming at the end of the arc here. But continuing, all of a sudden we get to hear about Deku's powers a little bit, which is really cool. And I know I'm bouncing all over the place. There's a lot going on in this chapter, a lot of information, but Bakugo explains to us that during the training with All Might and Endeavor, Deku can now use 30% of his power consistently throughout the fight, and uses 45% at moments of impact. Like when he's about to launch an attack at the very last second, he'll go to 45% when needed. So it's cool to see that Deku's really progressing, that his powers are growing. He's getting closer and closer to getting to 50% of his maximum power, which would be so awesome to see Deku at that kind of strength. So that's really cool to see. But right now, consistently, he's only at 30%, and that's just not good enough for the people he's trying to fight in Shigaraki, who is much, much stronger and as top tier level as Shigaraki is right now. Deku and the kids have a lot of growing to do. So we'll see how that goes. But that was really useful information that Bakugo is telling us. And he even calls himself a loser because he feels like he's falling behind. He won't let himself get beat by Deku. So he's trying his hardest to keep up with Deku at full strength, at full might, and really be useful to the hero. So again, I'm loving the dynamic between Bakugo and Deku right now, and kind of this growth of those two all together since the start of the story. Deku being so weak and looking up to Bakugo, and Bakugo being so arrogant and thinking he's above everyone. And now the roles have kind of switched, where Midoriya's confidence is growing and Bakugo's is kind of waning, so he's kind of trying to play catch up. So as we continue, we see that Shigaraki knocked out the communications, and all of a sudden it looks like he uses Black Warp, which to jump right in front of Deku and Bakugo, which is crazy. I'm not sure if he had that power or when he got that power, of All For One gave him the power at the last second if he took it from, I can't remember the Black Warp guy's name anymore. It's been a while since we've seen him, but if he took it from him and gave it to Shigaraki when he transferred the powers, I don't know, but he shows up right in front of Deku and Bakugo, and they get this sense of fear and death. They kind of they felt last summer in the story when All For One showed up for the first time and kind of wrecked the heroes and took on All Might that one final time. So that feeling, that pressure they felt, they feel that right away when Shigaraki shows up. He's reaching out with that palm. He still has the little air hole in his hand, and it looks like if he grabs them, it is over for them. They can see themselves crumbling away and dying at that very moment. So this shot was amazing. A beautiful, beautiful shot of Deku and Bakugo and Shigaraki, him showing up from the Black Warp, whatever it was. And luckily, instead of dying, we get Gran Torino coming and zooping in again. And I don't know how many times Gran Torino has saved everyone's butts, but he just seems to show up at the perfect moment. Despite his age, he's got amazing instincts. He's super fast and super agile. So Gran Torino shows up and he zoops or scoops up Bakugo and Deku and kind of takes him off as fast as he can the other way and calls them little kids, brats. They are not ready to take on Shigaraki yet. And he even explains that the decay is on such a different level that even if a little piece of rubble hits you, you start to decay away. And we see this by seeing a hero running away from the decay get hit with a piece of rubble, and all of a sudden half his body is starting to dissolve. So that's really scary to think about. That poor hero, we don't know who it is. It just looks like it's a random hero, but that's really scary. And even Bakugo starts to sweat a little bit at the thought of that. So Gran Torino takes him away, but he explains, listen, us heroes ain't out of the picture yet. And all of a sudden the dragon hero pops out of a building to attack Shigaraki, who's slowly starting to land after missing Bakugo and Deku. And she's going with her big claw and goes to hit Shigaraki, which I thought for sure was over for her, despite her size and her strength. And yes, she's a top 10 hero. She's the number 9 hero, I believe, now. Despite all that status, if she gets touched by Shigaraki's hands, it is game over. And it looks like he turns to put his hand right on her paw. But for some reason, when it touches, he notices it doesn't work, and she slaps him into the air. All of a sudden, we get to see Eraserhead start to talk, and he's starting to say things, and he goes back to how the number 6 hero, Crust, saved him, and even Crust D, because just like in the Will of D from One Piece, Crust dies with a smile on his face, which was such a cool way for him to go out. Really, really sad that we didn't get to see more from Crust, but for him to save Eraserhead, Crust, you're our boy, R.I.P. But Eraserhead starts to kind of go on a little monologue about why he's still alive. Crust saved him. Other heroes have saved him. Many people are the reason that he's still alive today. And he says, don't you dare lay a rotten finger on my students. Taking him down is why I am still alive. So that makes me really, really excited to see Eraserhead kind of go off. We see the reason that his quirk, the decay quirk, didn't work on the Dragon Heroes, because Eraserhead is there using his Eraserhead quirk on Shigaraki to kind of stop the decay from working. And even Shigaraki kind of says how cool Eraserhead looks in this, man. He's like, you really are pretty cool, Eraserhead. So a lot of respect going to Eraserhead, but I don't think this is the arc where Shigaraki is going to be defeated. It's way too early on here. We need to see a bigger battle between the villains and the heroes after this. Despite all the battles and damage that's been done in this arc, this is not the final war. This is not the final battle between the top heroes and Shigaraki and the top villains. So it makes me nervous to see what happens to your Eraserhead. He is not allowed to die. I will be sad and depressed for months and months. I may not pick up a chapter of My Hero Academia for a long time if Eraserhead dies. He's in my top 10 characters for My Hero Academia. I love Eraserhead. His dynamic with the characters, his ability to teach, and his abilities in general are so cool and so unique. I love Eraserhead. So I'm nervous for him, but his confrontation with Shigaraki is about to begin, and I cannot wait to see him go all out to take down the leader of the League of Villains. So this is going to be a really cool scene. All of his life, he's been looking for something to live by and why he's been alive. And this is the reason that he thinks he's alive. So we'll see how Eraserhead approaches the situation, because he's no fool. He's extremely smart too and battle hardened. So we'll see how Eraserhead approaches it. But great chapter. I really, really loved the dynamic, the dialogue that was in it here, the confrontation between characters, between Deku and Bakugo, between Gran Torino and the kids, and now Eraserhead, Shigaraki. So we got to learn a lot. We got to hear a bunch of conversations between characters. So I love that. I love details in chapters like this. Even though it went by really quick, I feel like I learned a lot from it. So I cannot wait to jump in. There's no break next week. Actually, there is a break next week, so we'll wait till the week after to see what happens between Eraserhead and Shigaraki. But comment below with your thoughts on Deku and Bakugo's relationship. How do you think it will progress? Will they splinter off? Will Bakugo kind of be like Sasuke and kind of go do his own thing? Or will they strengthen each other and grow stronger as a team? And how do you think Eraserhead is going to fare against Shigaraki? That is one battle I'm looking forward to. But man, oh man, Eraserhead, you better survive this arc. We have seen too many people, too many heroes being killed in this arc, so you are not allowed to be one of them. I will be extremely sad, but that is all for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the chapter. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Hit that bell for more notifications of my videos popping up. I appreciate all of you guys. Happy Monday. Go enjoy the day. Your boy Ash is out. Peace. Have a fantastic day, guys.